Welcome to your pregame. It's the NFC Roundtable. I'm your host, Mike Sidors. Today we're going to discuss the upcoming week of the NFL. Today might be the day. You Lions fans need to get off your couch, stand up for the entire game because the Lions actually have a chance to win today. Big Ben out, and the Lions are playing a woeful Steelers team that's not quite what it used to be in the past. But I'm not going to dive too much into this right now. First, I'm going to kick it to the NFC North guys. We have Brian Robinson and Anderson Hannah. I'll let you guys get the show going. So, what's up this week in the NFC North?
Stuff.
So yeah,
We actually have several interesting games this week, as a matter of fact. Now you have to actually look at the Packers versus that other team from the Pacific Northwest area, the Seattle Seahawks. You have both quarterbacks are actually coming off of either vacations or injuries, things like that. So that's going to be kind of an interesting little side note right there. Of course, our friend Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming back from COVID. Russell Wilson kind of hurt himself during that one game, and he's back unbelievably after just a shade bit over a month. So you got to think that the timing is going to be a little bit off. But with one of the good things with Aaron Rodgers is he might be a little rusty. He might be a little, in the beginning, but you got to think that second quarter, third quarter, especially, he's going to get his timing back, and everything should work out for the Packers. So, any thoughts?
Yeah, this will be kind of interesting to see how both quarterbacks do play. I mean, I know Russell's been working on footwork and little technique kind of stuff as they showed in I believe it was one of the Monday night games that they played without him. Obviously, Aaron is dealing with the backlash from the, saying that he's immunized and all that stuff. And usually when he gets ticked off, he plays a little bit better. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams go into it. I'm not real positive, though, that the Seahawks will be able to hang. They do give up tons of yards. Their defense isn't what it used to be. Plus, you're going into Lambeau. It's going to be in the 30s and snow. So it's going to be Packer weather is what they like to call it. So we'll see what happens. Should be interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned about the defense. Seattle, of course, has the fourth worst pass defense. Green Bay has the fifth overall, the fifth best defense, and the seventh passing. So, Russell Wilson has kind of an iffy game. It's going to be a long day for Seattle for sure.
Yes.
But Green Bay does have several different players out, including David Bakhtiari, their all-world offensive lineman. Of course, he's out. A couple other people, are questionable. You have, of course, their tight end and things like that. So, it should be an interesting game. I personally see the Packers actually pulling this one out, of course, just because, overall they're a fairly solid team. And then, of course, you have, Russell Wilson with, his timing, of course, literally you're looking at a month. And so his timing is going to be way off.
Correct.
So, we'll see how that goes. It might end up being kind of ugly for Seattle, but, if they might even pull it out. Who knows?
Yeah, anything can happen, as we saw what happened last week in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Vikings at the Chargers. So the Vikings, of course, the Dalvin Cook is in fact going to play. He has had some off the field issues, but it looks like he is in fact going to be playing versus the Chargers. The Chargers are kind of interesting because their defense is relatively solid. They have their points, so this might actually end up being a victory for the Vikings. The Chargers, again, you can't necessarily put them completely out. However, I definitely see Minnesota actually pulling this one out myself. So,
yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, you talk about the Vikings. They just played the Ravens last week, so they had to go on the East Coast, play a tough game. Now they got to go to the West Coast, play another tough game. And, it depends on what Vikings team decides to show up. I mean, the good thing is that, the Chargers are kind of that up and down. The defense has been kind of iffy sometimes, and they've been in a lot of shootout games. And I don't know if Kirk Cousins, to me, is able to be competitive enough in a shootout. He always seems to not make the right throw, not make the right read, makes a mistake, fumbles the ball. That's him. I think Minnesota, if they play a truly mistake-free game, they're going to be in it. I truly think, but it just depends on what Chargers team decides to show up. And obviously, within the Los Angeles crowd, they don't have one. They don't have that backing like the Rams or anything. It could be a pro Minnesota crowd today. So I do agree that Vikings have a legit shot at taking this one.
Sure. With, of course, playing, indoors and things like that, that's one of the factors, playing out in California, lovely weather, that kind of thing. So, the running game should actually be established. And if you, of course, establish your running game, of course, that opens with your passing game. Correct. So, and then, of course, that's where the Chargers and their secondary, which, of course, has their questions for sure. That could also be a long game for the Chargers, but you never can tell.
Correct.
And then, of course, we have Detroit versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, that's actually kind of a very interesting part because, as Mike was saying earlier, Ben Roethlisberger, of course, is out. COVID protocols. Detroit has a better than average shot of actually winning this. The Steelers, of course, just barely beat the Steelers and the refs. Just barely beat the Bears the other night on Monday night. So, it's just one of those things where Big Ben, of course, but then who's going to be the starting quarterback? You got Dwayne Haskins, of course, or you've got, of course, Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph he's a quarterback.
Right. Mason Rudolph, actually, I did read, is starting today. He has played with the Steelers for a while. He's filled in for Ben. He's had some decent games, but he's had some bad games. What I have heard, though, is that he does know that offense pretty well. A lot of the receivers do respect him a lot with what he did when he had to come in on, when Ben was hurt. It'll be interesting to see how offensively they do today. The Lions is just, like I said, you feel bad for a team that really tries hard. They've been into some games and they've done some creative things. They just can't get that victory. And it's hard for me to say that they're going to win. Do they have a shot? Absolutely. When you're playing a team against their backup quarterback, I just don't know if they even still have enough, especially with Pittsburgh's defense being halfway decent.
That's one of the things that actually the Detroit coach actually mentioned was the fact that, they are a bunch of fighters. And, I agree, there's been several games where they've actually been in the game, then it just kind of sort of widens open, that gap widens up. And then unfortunately, look what happens, you're 0-8, 9, whatever the case might be. So there's definitely going to be a better than average shot at actually beating the Steelers. Steelers with their injuries and things like that. So it's certainly going to be an interesting game for sure, especially if you're a Detroit fan.
Correct.
So, And then final game on the NFC North, you got the Chicago Bears versus the dreaded bye week. I'm thinking that the Bears are probably going to end up pulling that one out. I think I mentioned 25 or 27-23, something like that. That includes special teams, of course. Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's they say the dreaded bye week. Actually, I think this is the great bye week for the Bears. They, especially the last two games, Justin Fields is starting to look like a quarterback. And this is what the city of Chicago has been waiting for. Defensively, they're banged up. They're trying to get guys back. I think if they can get a couple of those guys back on defense, and if Justin Fields continues his growth like he has, and especially the running game's been decent, especially when Herbert was filling in for Montgomery. The running game was great. I was very impressed. It'll be interesting to see how they come out of the bye. I don't think they're going to be like world beaters, but I do think that out of the bye, if Justin continues to grow and that defense gets healthy enough, they could have a say in some other teams' futures in terms of playoffs this year.
That's an interesting point with all the injuries. Offensive line, they're a little bit banged up, and offensive line has always been an issue with the Bears. Justin Fields is definitely coming around. He's actually a little bit, I think, ahead of where a lot of people actually expect him to be at this time, because he actually should be riding the bench. You know, if you want to be that old school thought, you know, you need to ride that bench to really kind of get the feel. You know, then if you're trial by fire kind of a thing where you're just kind of thrown right in. So, but what makes that kind of interesting is, let's say Justin Fields actually starts doing well, then starts doing very well. And let's just say, you know, theoretically speaking, that the Bears actually make a coaching change. What then? Now you're going to be coming in with a new coach, new offense, you know, and that's just a whole other thing that he has to learn, which, you know, might actually kind of sort of retard his progress to a point. But it's just going to be one of those things where you're going to have to certainly, you know, see in the future, because he is definitely turning into a nice little quarterback there.
Right. And you bring that up too. And so if he develops and he develops well in these last, you know, the last weeks of the year, what happens to Matt Nagy? Is he staying? I mean, because everybody in Chicago wants him out. I mean, that's going to be the most interesting kind of play if, you know, if Justin starts taking off and it's under Matt Nagy.
Right.
They may have a much harder decision than they think.
Potentially. We'll definitely see how that goes, but I definitely think the Bears are going to win this week for sure. By at least a field goal. So.
I got you on that one.
So I think we're going to shoot her off down to. You want to go to the NFC East, or you want to go to the South?
Let's
follow the compass. Let's go East.
Let's go East. Yeah.
All right. We're going to go East now, I guess. All right, cool. So,
Mike, what's going on, man?
There we go. Hey.
NFC East. We got some games in common this week. I'll let you go into them, and we'll just bounce off each other so I don't leave you up there looking all stupid.
Yeah. Hey, man, it's all right. You know. Hey. So, well, let's start off first and foremost with my Cowboys. Leaders of the division. Again, we've talked about this every show. Whoever's in first place is making the playoffs because everybody else just sucks. Got Cowboys at 6-2, Eagles 3-6, Giants 3-6, and that WTF team 2-6. So
you might as well mark them 2-7. It's just
2-7. Yeah, 2-7. So, but for the Cowboys, Gallup's back off IR finally, nice. Which is good. I know he could have started last week, but they wanted to keep him out an extra week. Tyson Hill's back, our defensive lineman. He was on the PUP list for a while, which is good because we're going to need him in the rotation with Rain Gregory being out. It's bad enough having Lawrence out pretty much after the first week. Now Gregory's down. So it's going to be Armstrong, Hill, and all them rotating in to hopefully, you know, get some pressure on the quarterback this week. And then we got a new kicker.
Don't even try it.
I'm not even going to try it. I don't even know. I guess he did pretty good at practice, so we'll see because their line's on the COVID list. So things again, with people out is Tyrone Smith's out again, which I think they're going to keep him out for a while because Mr. Steele that's playing in his place is doing pretty well at left tackle.
Is that a playoff decision, you think? You think they're trying to prolong that so that he's in playoffs if the Cowboys get in, or?
That's what I'm thinking, and that's what I'm hoping. Look, he's getting up in their years. He's been great. I mean, even now he's still good. It's just
he's solid.
The injuries are just adding up with him just because of his age. I'm hoping they keep him out for as long as they can to let him heal and go from there. The only other person we got is Cedric Wilson, our receiver. He's questionable. He's our return man. But with Gallup being back, I don't know how much he's going to play now. So
yeah, but questionable. Really, it's just more than likely they're going to play, unless it's like game time decision questionable. He's going to play.
Yeah, he gets in even when Gallup was in, maybe a couple plays a game, but he's usually the rest guy for anybody who needs to come out. So now we're gonna have the trio back finally, and we're gonna see how well this goes. So they double cover somebody, and there's two other guys wide open.
You said it the first game of the season, the Cowboys have quietly one of the best receiving corps in the league. you had a solid halfback in Ezekiel Elliott, and I don't just mean weight-wise anymore. He's actually playing pretty well. So, I mean, you add him to the mix, you got a pretty good, pretty good selection of offensive weapons for the Cowboys. But
yep. We're going to see what happens, man. I mean, look what happened last week against the Broncos. I don't know what happened last week in the NFL, but it's just.
I know the Bucs won.
Well, yeah. I mean, they played the bye week. I mean.
Yeah, but they. Oh, sorry, my chest hurts.
I know. Hey, they got the same record as the Cowboys now, so hey, whatever.
Hey.
So,
but
okay. Hey, we'll move on from the Cowboys. I guess we got the Bucs versus the WTF
team.
Yeah, both coming out.
I mean, do you see any glimpse of sunshine for the Washington Redskins this week?
No.
I mean, I put it out there last week. I'm going to put it out there again this week, but we won't go into that until I get to my segment. But, I mean, really, Montez Sweat being out, I think is the biggest upside for the Bucs this week. I mean, him not coming off the edge really frees up. I mean, Bucs don't have to worry about their strong side tackle or their left tackle. You got Chase Young, but he's been – what has he done this year? I mean, he was all hype, all world last year, and now he's just a guy. Maybe he comes out this week and shows out, but I don't know.
It's a lot of double teams, man. They've been double teaming him a lot this year.
Right, and Sweat's out this week.
Yeah.
Broke his jaw.
I seen that.
How? With
don't
new helmet technology, the only way I think that could happen is he wasn't strapped up properly. Or he got in a fight in the locker room.
Yeah, my thought was he wasn't strapped up right. That's what I was going with. But hey, they could have a fight in the locker room. We'd never know about it.
Right, exactly. And they just sweep it under the rug and be like, "Hey, look, he was hurt in the fourth quarter. Blah blah blah. Broke his jaw."
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they came out with when Gino got his jaw ring up.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So
Gino was rocked.
Yeah.
You didn't see anything to where you would think Sweat broke his jaw. I mean,
no. And that's the biggest thing for Washington is their defensive front seven was kind of keeping them in some games, but with him out, I honestly believe that the Bucs are going to win by at least 10 points this week. With him out, the defense is going to be struggling. And it's going to be a lot of 3 and outs for Washington. It just is.
You're agreeing with Vegas. Vegas has a spread at 10.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, spread dropped today at 10. It was at 9.5 for a while today. They got the other end of the hook. They're at 10. Plus, you got the Skins Washington football team being at home. They automatically get 3 points. So you're really looking at the Bucs with a 13-point advantage, essentially. But yeah. I mean, that's where I'm leaning to. But
all right, well, we'll get off of that because I know you still want to cover a little bit more of the Bucs with you when we get to the South. So we got the Filthy Eagles playing Denver this week.
If the Philadelphia Eagles put it on Denver,
dude, I'm gonna get so mad.
Your first snowfall, you got to go skinny dip in the snowfall, or you got to take the beard bet and shave that shit off.
No, there ain't no way I'm doing that.
You don't have confidence?
No. Dude, after last week, I don't have confidence in the games that are going on anymore.
Dude, what's been going on in the league? This is crazy. But
so I'm just taking, I don't. The way the Eagles have been playing, I mean, they played well with the Chargers last week, and they lost by 1 point, I think it was.
They play to their competition.
They play well, but Hurts just can't get them over they can't get over that little hump. Like when it's a close game, it's like if it's a close game, they just can't stay in it enough. And I just think even with the way the Broncos are playing, it looks like they're playing more of a team game now instead of relying on just a few. Which the Eagles have a pretty decent run defense, but I think the Broncos are going to just keep on trying to run it against them. And I think it's going to be a close game. I'm still picking the Broncos to win over the Eagles because they just can't stay. They can't pull out these little close victories, man. They can't. So they're either destroying teams and Hurts looks like a great quarterback, or he's either great or he's not. And I think the confidence level for him is bouncing all over the place, and I don't think it's helping him.
Yeah, the Eagles just don't know how to win. They just it's a learned behavior. I mean, there's 3 of us in this chat right now that played for a team that couldn't find their way out of a grocery bag. I mean, there was no winning with that team. Your defense would shut the opposing offense out, and the offense would give up 14 points. So, I mean, you got to learn how to win before it becomes, it's got to become a habit. So,
yeah, I know. Hey, I don't know. We won a couple games when I played, so I was
I was coaching.
Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway. I don't know. I don't see the Eagles doing too much this week. I think they stay in with Denver for a little while, and then in the second half, I think Denver opens it up.
And then Two Gloves gets the job done, huh?
I think so. And then we got left is the Giants. They're on a bye. I mean, they might lose. I mean, who knows? Something will happen up there. Somebody will get hurt or something during the bye week, and
Right on.
So
I guess I'll make your intro to the next segment easy, huh?
Yeah, I'll just kick it over to the NFC South. How's that?
Right on. I'm going to go solo for a little bit, and then I'll add someone to the stream to argue with me.
Okay. Cool. Argue with him.
It won't let me. There we go. All right. NFC South this week. We'll save the Bucs game for last since we already touched on that a little bit, and we'll go to the game that I really, really think is huge. Is the Tennessee Titans versus New Orleans Saints. Both teams are going to be without their starting halfbacks. AK-41 is out. I believe it's a knee, if I'm not mistaken. Henry's on IR. You've got 2 seasoned halfbacks stepping into play. AP really didn't show much for the Titans, but he's more of just, give their young backs a breather, change of pace guy. He's not going to, take the top off anything. Probably struggles with a jar of pickles. And then you got, I can't think of his name right now. For the Saints, Mark Ingram, I think. Might be wrong. Can't remember. I'm kind of dumb. But anyway, he's been in the league a bit. Played real well for them in the past. He did well against the Bucs when he played 2 weeks ago now. So it's going to be interesting. Julio Jones is now out, though, as well for the Titans. But do the Titans really pass the ball all that much? Saints, their defense is solid. But if the Titans can run the ball, they can take the Saints completely out of the game because I think the Saints offense is really going to hurt them this week, especially without Jameis Winston. Taysom Hill got 1 drive last week and threw a pick against the Falcons. So really? Anyway, I got Titans taking that game. That'll be in our pick 6 segment later. Panthers Cardinals for the NFC West. We'll touch that game later. We touched on Falcons Cowboys. Mike gave you a really good in-depth breakdown of the Cowboys. You got a lot of people returning this week. Their receiving core really is that good. If the Cowboys could play a complete game, complimentary football, offense, defense, and special teams, they should win this game going away by at least 10 points. I don't see the Falcons giving much to the Cowboys. The Falcons are on a tear. They've won, I think, 3 of their last 4. Matt Ryan won Offensive Player of the Week last week. So they definitely have the potential to put up the points. But again, much like the Eagles we discussed last segment, they don't know how to win. You can't just hang around games and hope to come out on top. So last two games of this week are the Bucs and Washington, Panthers, Cardinals. I'm going to bring Jerry Christian in for Panthers, Cardinals, since he is pretty much, I wouldn't say our knowledge on the NFC West, but he follows it, and he has some sort of intelligence, I guess.
I know a little bit about football.
Looking at his sweat hood, you can't tell he has intelligence, but so so we got the Panthers going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are on top of that division. They are without Kyler Murray, but we all know, firsthand that Colt McCoy is the golden gun. I mean,
that team is still solid.
Torched you guys.
Second week in a row they'll be without Hopkins and Murray.
Wait, you're saying the Niners lost without Hopkins too? Man. Did that happen?
No, I relive that nightmare every day. Yeah, no, it happened.
So Colt McCoy, just let's recap last week real quick.
Yeah, okay.
Colt McCoy, no, I'm just playing. All right. Like I said, Cardinals are going to be without Kyler Murray. I'm not sure if D-Hop is playing. I didn't see his name on the injury report.
He's not.
So he is out.
Yeah, well, they're both still ruled as very unlikely. So you can basically say that they're probably both out.
Right on.
It has not been ruled out that you will not see Cam Newton.
I don't know.
I was surprised by that. I mean, 3 days with a team or something, and you're
Sherman,
let's give it a shot.
I mean, Sherman played with the Bucs on 2 days, but that's a totally different position.
Well, yeah.
You're essentially given, I don't want to call a Carolina Panthers offense like a Porsche, but let's just call it, you're given the keys to the Pinto.
Yeah. The donkey wagon. Yeah.
Your 16-year-old daughter and her friends to text and drive. I mean, that's what it – but that's – I mean, Cam Newton, if he plays today, they're desperate. They're in desperate need of something. Yeah, I don't think you gain much confidence from your locker room saying we didn't have the right guys to start with. Let's just throw Cam out there.
I mean, I don't know if it's like a last gasp to grab back fans or something, but – I don't know, but it'll be interesting. Madden actually has predicted that PJ Walker will throw 4 touchdown passes in a victory over the Cardinals.
PJ Walker has played well.
Yes.
He torched the AFL or AFL, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But and then his last few games with the Panthers, he's played well.
Yeah,
he has a different dimension to the game.
They're predicting that he's going to go off. I personally don't see it.
Did they predict that? Did they predict that he gets off like the bench or goes off like in the game?
4 touchdown passes, so goes off. Yeah.
I mean, Justin Fields could throw 4 touchdown passes if you're on the 2-yard line.
It's true.
So, but
I just don't see that game going that way. I think the Cardinals continue to roll. After seeing last week with so many guys out, and they've still played solid, lights out.
They're well coached. That's often overlooked.
Yeah, they're a solid team and they have depth, and I don't think it'll be any problem. And it's in Arizona, so.
They're not penalized very much either.
No.
So I mean,
except for the head coach, but
it is what it is. But and then lastly in the South, we got a certain defending Super Bowl champion team going up against a team that has no name.
More of the easiest schedule ever.
The Skins, they don't have the easiest schedule ever. The Bucs are a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Bucs are coming in this week. Just got good news. Chris Godwin will play this week. He did miss practice with foot injury, but he is playing. Gronk is out. AB is out. And Rashad Robinson, who's basically just a gunner on special teams, is out. He was picked up for secondary depth. D. Delaney is questionable.
I mean, does it matter to go through the injury report?
I'm just looking over to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
I don't think it's going to change the outlook of the game.
I really don't, but you got to give teams their respect, unless you're the Niners, Bears, Packers, or Cowboys. Yeah, but Montez Sweat being out is really, really going to help this Bucs offense. Without him coming off that left side, you free up so much possibilities, especially in the run game, passing game as well. So I'll cover this in the pick six, but I don't think it's close. I said it earlier, said it Tuesday on the Crew podcast. Bucs hit 50. My face will be looking nifty.
Oh boy,
beard will be gone. Bucs hit 50. I mean everything. So
all right.
You got to hear. I'm gonna let you slide. I'm gonna slide myself out. Let you take it for a little bit by yourself. You're used to playing with yourself. And then kick us with NFC West, sir.
All right. Well, I mean, we already talked about the Panthers-Cardinals game, and the North guys kind of touched on the Seahawks-Packers game, which is basically a big conversation of quarterbacks coming back. So Russell's back, Aaron is back, and they'll battle on the frozen tundra up there in Wisconsin. I don't see Seattle bringing much to the table for this game. I mean, Russell's coming back, but it's a hand injury, a little bit different than a sickness. And like they mentioned earlier, when Aaron comes back and he's got a little chip on his shoulder, he tends to play a lot better. We saw that in the Bears game where he owned the the Bears fans.
Yeah.
Throwing out the discount double check. So yeah, I don't really expect Seattle to bring much to that game. They're kind of struggling this year, and coming back from a hand injury, you never know what to expect. So,
excuse me, it's the weather is going to play a big factor, I think, with Russell Wilson and the hand. I mean, usually colder weather coming off an injury, especially with a hand, and you just don't know what you're going to get. It's nice to see him come back and to have the battle between, Aaron and Russell, but, under the circumstances, you're just probably not going to get the best out of him. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I expect the game to be somewhat close, but I definitely think the Packers are going to take that one. No problem. But
I agree.
So then moving on from there to, the league's highlight game of the week. You've got the Niners going for their fifth straight win against the Rams on Monday Night Football. So the tide does not look to be in the Niners' favor, though. The Niners are going into it 0-4 at home, which is just ridiculous. And the Rams are coming into the game 4-0 away. So, right now it's predicted a 60% chance for the Rams to take that victory. Niners have some guys back. They're starting to look a little bit healthier. They were supposed to be healthy last week, and we saw what happened then against the Cardinals. So it's not very promising, but we'll see what happens on Monday night. I'm hoping that the Niners win. And historically they have in the last few years, but they've also been a different team. I mean, last year they did win twice against the Rams, even though they weren't the greatest and injury plagued. But yeah, we'll see.
It'll be interesting in that game in particular. It's, Matt Stafford kind of reverted back to his Lions ways last week. Now with the Woods injury, they did get OBJ, but with the Woods injury, that takes a weapon off the field. And from last report, OBJ, all he's doing is, from what I read, is returning punts this week. Now, could they play desperation and say, "Hey, we need you. I don't care. Run this route. I'll hit you." I mean, yeah, that could happen. But like I said, the way the NFL was wacky last week, anything can happen. I mean, I know that road teams have actually fared very well this year league-wide. And that thing called home field advantage is kind of drifting away just a little bit. But if you're going to go on trends, I mean, the Niners have been playing tough lately. And with the players they're getting back, they can make this interesting. It'll be interesting to see how both teams actually come into this game and play.
Yeah, Von Miller will be making his debut as a Ram as well. So we'll see how he does there. But I see OBJ as getting a little bit of playing time here and there because hopefully they're down and need to pass, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, OBJ, really?
I don't think he's the greatest.
I really think he made his career off one catch. I mean, he's had a couple 1,000-yard seasons, but Rashard Perriman had a couple 1,000-yard seasons too. I mean, he made a career off one catch.
And he played in that lame division.
If he doesn't make that catch, does anyone care about him now?
Well, they care about him now because look what he's doing to teams. He's destroying teams is what he's doing. I mean, he's pretty much become a cancer is what he –
Antonio Brown did the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much he'll get done there in L.A., especially when you got Donald, how big Donald is. I mean, he keeps running his mouth down there. I think they'll be able to control him a little bit. But you don't give him the ball, he's just going to complain. That's all he does.
Yeah, he's definitely he's fast. He comes from a talented family. He comes from an athletic background. But I just don't buy it. I don't think he's worth all the hype. And
well, I think when he was making his decision on where he wanted to go, obviously the Packers were interested, but only offered him league minimum. And basically he was saying, I'm worth way more than league minimum. I mean, but the Packers saw differently because they're like, no, you're not worth more than league minimum. Go prove yourself on the field. I mean, to me, with the decision to go to LA, I mean, actually he does live in the LA. I guess he lives in the LA area. So this was kind of a spot he's wanted to be at anyways. So maybe make him happy being where he wants to be. But my thing is, yeah, you're right. He hasn't really done much since his first couple seasons with the Giants. So this is going to be his prove it. Otherwise, he may just be an afterthought.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, he didn't really have exceptional quarterbacks wherever he's been. I mean, Eli Manning is borderline Hall of Fame, I guess, just because he's the only person that kept Brady from winning it. I mean, the two Manning brothers, the only two to keep Brady from winning the Super Bowl repeatedly every single season. So, I mean, Odell hasn't had, I don't know what you would call it, elite talent throwing him the ball, but he hasn't done much to prove that he deserves anything to me other than catch one pass.
Yeah, I like the meme that's going around out there of the who is that? Tanya Harding, it's OBJ's dad, already out there ready to start making videos.
But
who knows? Maybe that's how you stay in the league is actually hype yourself up to a certain point. I mean, you do have some receivers. Look at Randy Moss. He used to be a huge braggart, but then he was able to back it up.
Right.
You got Odell, of course, the way that he talks and the way he actually brings himself up, you would think that he has, 45,000 yards in one season, things like that, where you minus that catch, for example, that actually made him that household name and things like that. And really, you're right. What do you have? Each team that he goes to, he does. You're absolutely right. He tends to be a little bit more of a negative in the locker room, which of course, that transfers to the on-field. So
I mean, the one thing that I saw, so I watched that video that, like his dad put out of all these plays where he wasn't targeted by Baker. And it's like, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of them where, yeah, he was missed, but most of those, he's not even the primary read on the play. And the primary read is open. And so that's why it wasn't thrown to him. Like sometimes he was like the fourth or fifth read, just running off a guy on the opposite sideline. And it's like, yeah, the guy just let you go because there's no chance in hell that you're getting the ball.
To be fair, Baker has one of the longest delivery times in the league. I mean, even with the primary being open, it takes him a while to get rid of the ball.
Well, but I mean, my point is that he's dropping it off to the guy that's wide open as his primary read. He's not even getting to you. So It's not his fault that he's missing you.
Right.
If you're the one guy that's open on the play, then your offense isn't doing too good.
Mm-hmm. What about the confidence that the quarterback has in that particular receiver?
Absolutely.
If he's not even looking at at Beckham, then what's that really say about that whole paradigm there?
Right.
Well, yeah, that's what caused the whole turmoil and ultimately why he was let go.
But that's why he's not in Tampa, is that he doesn't like to share the ball. I mean, his best friend's on the team with him in the Browns, and he's complaining that he's getting more looks than he is. He's just cancer, man.
He even said after he was let go that wherever he goes, he's going to cause problems in the locker room. And I'm like, why in the hell would you say that?
Well, he didn't want to go to a scrub team. He wanted to go to
he handpicked the Rams because that's who he thinks he has the best chance to make it to the Super Bowl.
Right. And if looking at it, I mean, it's Rams Cardinals. I mean, granted, I'm a Bucs fan, so I'm going to pull for the Bucs. You're going to pull for the Pack. Stout's going to pull for the Cowboys. I mean, right now that have an honest chance at making the Super Bowl.
We'll see Monday night.
And then you got the Bears and the Niners. I mean, but would you have chose anyone but the Rams? I mean, if you were a receiver to give your list, and it didn't have the Rams, the Bucs, the Packers. I can't believe it had the Saints on it, or the Cowboys. I mean, are you really trying? I mean,
all right,
you're going to pick the Niners. I mean, no offense, but Jimmy G is not exactly a prolific quarterback.
They're not really a passing team.
There you go. You're not going to pick the Bears. Justin Fields really isn't a quarterback.
You know what? We're going to leave that at because there's all kinds of stuff.
It's Nagy's fault. We're all going to blame Nagy. Yeah, we're on the head coach this year. Next year it'll be the quarterback. Then we'll be back to the head coach. It's one of the two we got to complain about for the Bears.
Well, think about it now. If you have look at New England. For years they had that one quarterback up there he's been a hack for years, for decades actually.
Last pick of the draft.
I'm surprised he was even officially drafted. But you had Belichick, you have Kraft, you have all these other guys. You have that stability.
Oh God!
And now, of course, you have you look at Chicago, for example, and you've got a stability, but you got a stability of mediocrity, and that's the problem. The Cubs didn't win the World Series until you get Theo Epstein and all these other different coaches and things like that are accustomed to winning. And I think you actually touched on that before. You have to have that customization to win.
It's a learned behavior.
Yeah. So if the Bears actually go out and get themselves a big-time GM, a big-time, coach, things like that, not necessarily an up-and-comer, and it's certainly, even in this league, I mean, last week tells the truth right there, the fact that, it's not going to be a 1, 2, or 3 year thing. It really is going to be a 5-year plan.
Right.
Within 5 years, next thing you know, Justin Fields is throwing for, 30 touchdowns a year.
He's not a bad quarterback. He's a quarterback right now that's playing in a scheme that doesn't fit him. That offense, how do you not build your offense around your talent?
Right.
What are they doing?
Tragically, unfortunately, that's been kind of the knock with Nagy, for example, is the fact that everybody, of course, has to fit his paradigm, his plan, right. And you're not actually playing to the strengths of your team itself. So,
right. I don't know if you guys saw this, but someone just posted the State of Nevada's police blotter.
Yeah, there it is. we're celebrating. They're celebrating in Vegas. I think they've went 3 days without a coach being fired or a player being arrested. Yeah.
Wow.
So that actually brings up another point, about with John Gruden. I mean, there were some mistakes, of course, on his part for sure, but is that something that really needs to be? Look, you made a mistake, of course. Obviously, you're going to take your consequences, and that might have just completely destroyed his career. And he's of course suing the NFL and things like that. But why? You are the one who actually did that to yourself.
True, but he's not only just suing the NFL. He's also, in a separate case, suing Roger Goodell. Because it almost makes it like that planned, they conspired against him. Even though the NFL is ran by Roger Goodell as an individual can be sued as well.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. And when the NFL, of course, they make X amount of billions of dollars per year, basically tax free. That's the kind of gig I want to have.
Speaking of which, tax free, but are making hella money. Do you know that a water boy in the NFL starting salary is $50,000 a year?
I just put in my application.
Free season tickets, full access to all players, full access to anything in the locker room. I mean,
you think it would be more because the kid that was responsible for inflating the footballs just quit on the job and underinflated all Brady's balls.
Both Bucs Super Bowl winning quarterbacks had deflated balls for their Super Bowl. But
you're also forgetting about the fringe benefits of actually being a water boy and stuff like that. All the water you can drink.
And
free.
It's high quality H2O.
That's what Mama says.
You'd be good at it, Mike. I think you should try to do that, Mike. You'd be good at it. I mean, you've had plenty of practice at it before. I mean, with that team you played on, you did a really good job at it.
I did have plenty of practice at it while watching the offense turn the ball over so I could be back on the field. But we won't go there.
Yeah, that was actually one of the best parts about Mike and his playing days. He always played, starting left out, and we all appreciated that.
Not funny.
Well, did you guys see the news that came out this morning? It came out early this morning about the officiating, Andy, from the Bears and Steelers game. Did you guys see that?
No,
they won't officially say that they made mistakes, but I guess there's a lot of indoor heating about at least the minimum of 3 main calls that should have been called, but they're not coming out and saying it. They're keeping it in house, but everybody in house is saying how blatant and bad it was, and I'm like, I can feel your pain because it happened to us the first week too. So
right,
come on now. So officiating is atrocious. But the NFL doubled down and backed it up by saying, we are not going to fine Mac Jones for blatantly putting Brian Burns in an ankle lock after he lit him up, tentatively taking him out this week's game.
Compliments, Captain Insano.
He's listening.
You had the referee that hip checked Marsh, who ended up getting fined was $5,912 and 13 cents or something like that. I don't know where they come up with these totals, but
that's my point. Is you had a blatant disregard for the rules and disregard for player safety. The NFL is big on player safety right now, and they just swept it under the rug. Right. That's my point. They want to come off as, we're protecting our players. All they're protecting is their brand. But
that's why Brady gets so much good treatment.
Well, this kind of goes to show you that whenever a new rule is put in the NFL, that's like their flavor of the year. Before it was the catch rule, and then it was all that. So now this year it's the taunting rule. It's like, hey, let's have no fun, and let's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
All the dude did was stare at the sideline. I mean,
in the defense of the call, though, it is written that you're not allowed to stare the person down. Same thing as if like you lay a guy out, you're not allowed to stand over him and stare down. And the guy took like 9 steps towards their sideline after he celebrated. He did the little Mr. Miyagi kick thing and then went towards their sideline. It's like, I think the call was legit, to be honest. But, per the writing of the rule.
Now, keep that thought. Keep that thought. Okay, you think the call was legit. Okay, now let's go back to the start of the year. The NFL has accepted legalized gambling. Means that it's free-for-all now with gambling. At the same time, they put out a rule that a ref basically has control of the game. The ref can call a taunting penalty at any time. The ref can – you don't know what's being said on the field. You don't know what's going on man-to-man. Everybody knows that the junk that is said on the field is much worse than anything you hear in an R-rated movie. Far worse. Yeah. You don't know what that guy said to that bench. You don't know. He's not mic'd up. There are no live mics. But you also gave the refs the opportunity to control an outcome of a game.
Well,
Yeah, that's
Is it a coincidence?
You could argue that they've been doing that for years, though.
yeah.
Well,
they do have the ability to control the game, and they could have been doing it off the record. just because gambling's legalized now,
right? But look at the money that's being made now.
Have you seen the documentary about the ref for the NBA?
Oh,
Who
yeah.
was doing it? Yeah. So
when is it going to be the time where you have to have like the referees almost acting like a Judge Dredd? To where it's like, okay, well, instead of actually having a certain set of rules and guidelines you go by, be like, okay, well, you did this, so we're going to give you a 7-yard, penalty plus, a loss of down, and where you're actually, it's going to be one of those things. And yeah, that's gambling. I think when you brought that in, completely changed the whole thing. It's just simply because
100%.
You're hip checking players who are getting fined $5,900.
You find a player who made no contact with anybody on the field. Literally, his flag was no contact. You have a quarterback that got lit up and out of defense or out of anger or whatever you want to call it, threw a Kurt Angle ankle lock on the guy that hit him. How is that not penalized? One, how does the NFL not go back and look at it and fine him too? And how?
Well, Robert Kraft and Roger Goodell are bestest buddies in the whole wide world, right? So
But anyway,
same way that Brady got away with everything in New England.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to that to him getting fined like that. He does play for the Bears. Maybe he was looking at the wrong sideline. I kind of got to give guys some credit. Maybe he was looking at the wrong sideline.
Maybe he asked if he could be traded to their team.
Yeah.
And on this segment of trash talk,
Well, then Brian bringing up the catch rule. That's a good idea. Des did catch it, so there we go.
Hey, you know what? I won't disagree with you on that. To be perfectly honest,
if we're going catch, well, let's bring up Bert Emanuel. Change the game. But anyway, let's finish this show out and kick it to our pick 6, shall we?
So fancy.
It ain't that. There we go. Woo! All right.
Dang.
The graphic is insane. We give you Deion Sanders with his pick 6. But all right. Who's the top dog right now? Jerry fell off last week.
Yeah.
I believe we got
what I get for betting on the Cowboys.
Mike Stout. Mike Stout, top dog.
Wow, that's kind of impressive. Usually I'm at the bottom of these things.
No, you're in the lead at 8-4.
Wow.
I'm definitely bringing up the rear.
No, you're not in last. The Bears are in last. Andy's in last.
You remember that meme that I showed you guys earlier?
Yeah. But
all right.
So
you want me to kick it off or what?
Kick it off, Mike. You're the top dog, so maybe we'll follow suit.
All right. Well, we're gonna start off with the boys. They're gonna get the win over the Falcons. Gonna take the Bucks over Washington football team. Gonna take the Broncos over the Eagles. the Rams over the Niners. Going to take the Cardinals over the Panthers, and the Colts over the Jags. Yes, I see it, Jerry. I've seen it since you put it on there. Nice play. Colts over the Jags, my last pick.
Right on.
That's a bold pick there. Not going to go with the Jaguars to continue the winning ways.
No, that pick's on my 10-year-old. He wants to pick the Colts, since we lived out here.
Right.
So,
Jerry, you're much like the Niners, number 2. Go ahead, man.
I unfortunately, just for the sake of the game, am going with the Cowboys again, even though they let everybody down last week. Everybody had the Cowboys last week. Everybody got an L. Yeah, again, yeah. So we'll refer back to document A here. So I'm going with the Cowboys. I think they're going to be able to get it done. Zeke will be out there doing his little eating thing. Going with the Bills. I want the Bucks to win, and I want them to score fucking 50. 50, just so we can see Mike have to shave everything. Going with the Packers over the Seahawks. We talked about that game. I don't think the Seahawks are going to bring much to the table, even though Russell's back. Going with the Cardinals to go into Carolina, or no, they're at home against Carolina. And then I too am going with the Colts over the Jags, because I think the Lions are going to win this week. So I didn't want to pick either team in that game. So
speaking of Jags, we'll kick it to the NFC North on the top there. Go ahead.
Boy.
I can do this all day.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Okay, so I'm picking the Saints over the Titans. I just think right now the Titans are due to lose, even though they've been on a roll. I think this is their game. They lose. I think the Saints will come in defensively and take care of business. I got the Steelers over the Lions. I just can't. I after my last prediction of the Lions beat Philadelphia, I'm not gonna fall into that trap again. Plus the Lions.
I'm just gonna mark that one as a loss right now because the Lions are gonna win that game.
No, because the Lions begin with the big letter L, so they're gonna lose. So Steelers will win at home. The Browns are going to go into New England and beat the Pats. Browns, I think, are starting to play better. I think this will give Baker Mayfield even more confidence, and they may be getting on that roll that they need to get in the playoffs. I got the Cardinals over the Panthers. Panthers just got too little for this Cardinals team. Cardinals are at home. They obviously proved something last week against somebody's team, and I think that's what's going to happen there. The Packers over the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks just are going to try to play, but they're just not going to keep up. And then I got the Bucks over the WTFs.
The high school team that they play this week on their schedule.
Yeah.
And even though you're bottom of the basement, I'm going to let you go next so I can close this show out, sir.
First off, you got to be careful with New England because if things start getting really, screwy and cockeyed there, you might have Mac Jones coming off the top rope. So you just got to be careful with that. So we got the Bucks. Granted, I don't normally like going for the Bucks and stuff like that, but every now and again. So you got the Chiefs. Chiefs are probably going to end up pulling it out. Hopefully, because again, last week is just one of those things where you're like, that's where your WTF kind of comes from. You're like. Saints are actually going to bring it back. You got the Bills. So let's hope that they actually score a touchdown this week. Exactly. You got the Bills, you got the Cardinals, and then you got the boys. Now the Cowboys aren't really, of course, one of my favorite teams. And even when I was actually born in Houston, Texas.
I'm sorry.
I was an Oilers fan. That tells you right there. Even coming from Texas, I never liked the Cowboys.
Does anybody really like the Cowboys?
I think even the Cowboys fans, I think they probably have some sort of pity shame kind of a deal going on. So it's like the Buccaneers. Think about it. In the next 25, 30 years, when Tom Brady finally retires, Bucks fans are going to be in quite the pickle.
At least 30.
So you're taking the Chiefs over the Raiders?
I would have to say the Chiefs over the Raiders for a couple of reasons.
Or the pregame report came out, and it turns out that the Raiders were just busted with brass knuckles and shivs going out to warm up on the field. So they had the game out in the yard, and
all right, it's not nice to pick on the less fortunate. We'll leave the Raiders.
Sorry.
And you got all yours in, Andy?
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to go with that right there. But if you're looking at Detroit and they got a good chance. They really do have a good chance. I'm not saying they're going to blaze a new trail and score 60, but they might end up scoring at least 10, and that might actually end up being enough.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph's. Yeah, but anyway, is it up to me now?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
All right. So I've got the Titans over the Taints, Cowboys over the Falcons, the Cards taking care of the Panthers.
We're all on the Cardinals.
The Bills over the Jets. The Colts over the Jags. And in a blowout, I've got your Washington football team losing to your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, thinking by at least 17. But last time I said that, the Bucs won by 3. So, at least they won. But once again, thank you for joining us. Go hydrate if you're going to drink. Join us Tuesday on NSPN. And we all 5 of us will see you Sunday morning only on NSPN. Go Bucs.
Go Niners. Cowboys.
No Bears.
Go
Pack, go.